Today is a Friday morning prayer reflection, May 8th, in the fourth week of Easter. And the scripture that I'm going to talk about is Exodus 34. And I'll talk briefly about verse 35, which tells us that after Moses came out of his meeting with God, his face was shining. Would you call that the effects of the glory of God? I don't want to over-spiritualize this event, but I'm convinced that something wonderful had happened to him. And it does happen to us when we go into conversation with God. Our faces may not look shiny, but who knows? Maybe to others, your calm might be very important. Your encouragement might actually be a lifeline to some people. Call someone. Brighten their day. Pray with someone who is in your life. They might be going through stuff. I have been listening lately to horrendous stories of people who escaped death during the 1994 genocide, and it brought tears to my eyes. I tried to imagine the terrors they must have been going through. I am sure as we speak there must be people in the world that are going through the same tragic experiences. I would like to intercede for them, to pray with them. And today's psalm is Psalm 40 and 54, and as I was reading, I tried to imagine myself in their position, someone hiding. Death may not be too far, and who knows what would happen coming out of that situation. And I was reading a few verses and tried to pray as if I was interceding and for them, and as if if this was happening, what would that look like? What would that feel like to pray these two psalms? I waited patiently upon the Lord. He put a new song in my mouth. You are the Lord. Do not withhold your compassion from me. Let your love and your faithfulness keep me safe forever. Be pleased, O Lord, to deliver me. O Lord, make haste to help me. Save me, O God, by your name. In your might, defend my cause. Hear my prayer, O God. Give ear to the words of my mouth. What a supplication. Listen to me, O Lord. I don't know what the danger is outside, but I pray that you would listen to my prayer, that you would save us, that you would care about our situation, oh God. We would like to see you act mightily. We know that you have power to save us. Come, help us. And the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 5, beginning at verse 21, it is about making sure our relationship with each other is good before we come to God. Jesus tells us that we need to reconcile with each other, then come to the altar and offer our gifts. He tells us that if we are angry with our brother or sister, we are murdering them in our hearts. Especially verse 22, whoever is angry with his brother breaks the 6 commandments. Well, in the Old Testament, the story of Cain and Abel, Cain killed Abel, his brother, and it started with anger, uncontrollable anger. Well, in the account of God, Cain had already been a murderer in his heart, because that's where murder proceeds from, in the heart. Well, we in the same way should not entertain malicious slander that may also be tongue murder. It's poison under the tongue. because it kills secretly and slowly. Bitter words have been compared with arrows, and we find this in Psalm 64, verse 3. May the Lord protect us from all that bitterness that is all around and so easily can entangle our hearts. Whatever anger that does not help our heart's disposition when we are in the presence of God. And Jesus tells us, before you go to the altar, before you go into the presence of God, go make things right with your brother or sister. Amen.